Testing. Is this thing on? Okay. Looks good. Just gonna get to. There we go. I don't know. I always have such a hard time navigating their YouTube. Twitch chat is so much easier to get to. All right. What's up, man? Hello, hello. How's the audio sound? Everything sound good? Cool. Perfect. So today will probably be a bit of a shorter stream, all things considered. I'm mostly just gonna do a little bit of spoiler talk, maybe some brewing, a little bit of stuff that we've seen. Now that we have a couple of legends that we can actually talk about, and yeah, go from there. I'm operating on like zero sleep still, unfortunately, so. But we survive. That's what it means to be a proper gamer. Okay. Burn some sleep. Yeah, hopefully the forever nap is on its way. I'm hoping to get like 10 hours of sleep. My starting with the PPG recap, I ended up flying in. So I woke up at 3 a.m. Eastern and then landed at 7 a.m. Central. So it ended up being like a 5 hour trip to get over there. And then it ended up having to Uber. So we got there at 8 approximately. And then, yeah, was probably on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep that day. It ended up being like a 23-hour day because I didn't get to bed until 1 a.m. Central. So we slept for I think like 5 or 6 hours and then did the whole thing on Sunday all over again. And then yeah, my flight was at 5 a.m. again in Central this time. So it made me sleep for I think about like 5 hours again. When I came back, and honestly I was too afraid to nap because I get really scared to mess up my sleep schedule. So I share an article about Vendetta in 2 hours. I hope they'll clarify how does Empower work. Okay. Maybe that'll catch us towards the end of this stream then. Give us the last thing to talk about. Where did they announce that? I'm curious. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can infer based on the cards that we've been given as to how the mechanic works, but previous season miracle. Okay. Um, I never know what to search when I'm trying to get to this page. Yeah. My YouTube chat was broken. Weird. I think I can. I don't know if I have any chatters over on YouTube, but hopefully I can read it now. I at least see one message over there. I did see that there's a new showcase slash Owen set coming. What is this? We also saw there's a few articles I can go over. Well, I think some of these are a little bit old. I think I remember seeing like okay, the special Ari or something that I think would be pretty cool. see. I see. So today we have the dev drop and the review article that's going live at 6 p.m. Pacific. I see. Should have pushed the stream back a little bit if I had known that. What's up, Boca? What are my thoughts on what? No Diana and Top Cut? Well, there's a. Is this the 5K? There's a 5K Diana. But yeah, obviously, the 25K is the main thing that matters. We'll get to my thoughts on that in a second. So this will be cool. Hopefully that we can see what these are towards the end of the stream here. Okay, I got the Zed versus Shin showdown deck. Based on these color combinations historically, I feel like one of these decks is going to be a lot better than the other deck. But, you know. And then, yeah, we've seen all the T1 cards and stuff that I think are cool. If only it was a T1 Ari, but, you know. I guess the Galio is cool, too. Also, 3 order cards. Very weird. But then the blue MF is cool, too. Yeah, everyone's gonna be exactly equally strong. I don't know how I like the serialization. I'm glad that they're at least doing serialization for these cards. So I feel like they're a little. Maybe they'll look good on the cards. I did see the foiling on this stuff, and it looks pretty good. Oh, there's like a English, Chinese Korean. I see. And there's a player bundle with some different alt arts. Oh, these are pretty cute. I like this MF skin. That makes sense. These are all like the T1 specific skins. And definitely makes sense they had to do that. Let's see. Someone asked, how did they have best of cards for this tournament? Yeah, it was just the normal prize of all medals. So it essentially the way that they wanted to structure these like unofficial events, the showdown series, right? So we had this whole list, and this was the first of these, which is partially why I wanted to come out and see. Based on the tiering, it showed the number of RQ passes as well as RC invites that we get. Unfortunately, I think we were like 490 something, so we were a little bit shy of tier 1, so only top tier was able to get invites, but obviously based on who was here, only first and second actually ended up getting their invites out of the top 4. Person Daniel got plenty to say the least, so it was at least nice that a couple people get their invites, and then top 8 get RQ passes, I suppose. Pretty much the same thing as top 64ing in RQ gets you a pass. They decided to do top 8 for this too. So we have one here July 4th, one July 11th, and then some here in August. Oh, interesting. They had one overlapping with Singapore, and we have like a Star City. I was told that potentially Charlie's is going to be on some of these. The one that's on the 18th will not be a showdown series, but I think some of the future ones will as well. So, yeah, we have to see where the additional lists are. So, but yeah, that's one of the big things here. You get the standard plated legends for the best of finishers from the 3 most recent sets. So, yeah, pretty cool. We just announced Blue Jays. A new Blue Jays? I have to see where is that announced? Is it on Twitter or something? Maybe somebody can link me. All I have is the pulled up our archive thing here. Is my default quality this bad? Okay, no. It's in disk general. It's in general. Okay. Yeah, I don't get Discord notifications while things go. Will I stream? Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, let's pull this up for chat. Media link. That's cool. Then I can actually read it. I haven't actually read it at all other than seeing the cost, which is a steep cost. When you play me, or the first time you play a non-token gear each turn, may ready something besides me that's exhausted. Okay. Don't know what we're supposed to do with this. Play me, or the first time you play a non-token gear each turn. So I guess with this, there's separate triggers, so that you could like do the ETB and then play a gear as well. I think is how it works in Riftbound, and get 2 untaps immediately. Is this official? I would assume so. No, it's posted in our Discord, so this looks too high quality for it to not be an official spoiler. Yeah, very big first mate. I mean, last mate. Writing something besides me. Yeah, writing a legend is kind of relevant. That's for sure. I don't know if it'll be relevant enough. Your article on the gamer site. Let's see. Do not understand Google. From previous leaks that Jace is a Mind Body legend, and following the reveal for Jace's. Okay. So it's just going to be them talking about this card that is not very good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they said a lot of what this ends up being, where, yeah, official spoiler. Very cool. Guess they're just scheduled for 7, so. Untap Armory, Untap Legend, if his legend is good. Yeah, it's hard to say, just because we have, like, some legends where untapping them is theoretically good, and some where it's completely irrelevant. So, but I do think that it's at least current use right now. The only thing that we have is actually I don't even know what we have. It would be like Vanguard Armory, since that's the one card that we actually had, but it was something that as soon as I realized Jace was this color combination, I did the obvious search here. Ready a battlefield? Yeah, this is not. You may ready something besides me that's exhausted. You can ready your opponent's stuff too, apparently. Surprised that they worded it that way, but some Jays with the orange Jace too. Yeah, I mean, playing a bad card to support your bad card is never really what I'm interested in, but uh, I mean, I guess technically you can use this in anything, so you could use it to untap Hook. Granted, that's extremely power hungry, so I would think that's not exactly what we're trying to go for, but especially because like its additional clause on play requires you to play gears, which Hook historically does not play outside of the Hook itself. Maybe like the equips or something. Yeah, ready your opponent's unit to swing in with Dune Drake. Now we got the real combo, and you can play that in Jace. So clearly Dune Drake is now the truth. Buy your foil Dune Drakes now. You can play this broken combination in Jace. This is clearly what they intended when they printed this card. You'd assume you get some gear to use with the forecast Jace. I would assume as well. I just hope it's nothing too broken. Yeah, maybe you'll have. Well, the only thing I've seen from SIG so far is they tend to be like abilities of the champions in the game. I guess that's not entirely true. I guess Ornn has his passive or like item upgrades. So yeah, I guess they could do pretty much anything they wanted for his Sig. Yeah, I mean make a Sig gear would be cool. Yeah, with a seal you can play Aurora at 8 runes, like with an MF. Yes, but you'd have to have spent a power. It's the same thing issue as MF where it doesn't actually ramp you because you'd have to have already spent a power to then potentially get a power later or an energy later. So Sid could be his hammer. Yeah, I guess it's like his transform ability. I just know that like at least from the earlier ones, like all of our Sigs are all just spells that exist. You know, this is Jinx's ultimate. I think this is Volley's ultimate. The Cathian Rain is like Kais's Q. Nox and Guillotine is Darius's ultimate. Foxfire is Ari's W. This is the little bit of League knowledge I know. This is like Ari ult, or not Ari, Annie ult. This is MF ult, etc., etc. This is Victor Q. I think this is Teemo ult, I would assume. The only exception right now we have are like the capes. The cape, the crown, and the requiem. So clearly they are willing to go outside of that because these are just items that Ornn can like make with his passive. But pretty much, I think every other card is an actual ability. This is, I don't know if this is LeBlanc ult or LeBlanc passive, but what does besides me mean versus here? It just means that he can't ready himself, I guess, which I don't really know why they need to put that clause on there. Whereas here means that it would have to be like a gear or a unit that's in the same location as him. Yeah, this is one of his quotes in game, the light art path. By Sig is a gear also true. I think, right, the Hextech gauntlets. I don't, this may not actually be one of, this might be a good precedent, so you're probably right. So I don't think one of her abilities is Hextech gauntlets. I don't know. Vi abilities. That was like the one consistency thing that I saw. Yep. No, I guess not. So I guess they are just willing to do it however they want. So scratch that. No, definitely a gear I think would be kind of thematic for Jace to. It's like the only way that you can print something like the 4-cost Jace and not have it be broken is just restricted to at least one specific legend. So yeah, Spinning Axe is Draven's Q. That one I know for sure. It was more so just them all being called like the same thing as one of their abilities. So, but I think Vi was an exception that they made. So the exception's already been made. It can just kind of be whatever. Give them a gear that can be flipped. I don't think we're gonna have double-sided cards this early into the game. So yeah, we got a little bit of time until we start having to deal with double-sided cards, I hope. It is in the rules that you have to have completely opaque sleeves though, so it's definitely something on their radar, I'm sure, to be able to do. So but yeah, my overall, I don't think this card's gonna really do anything. The fact that it's first time restricted, fortunately they're starting to put this clause here. It at least the thing that this gives me is some hope that in the future they will realize their mistake with Hui and Stellacorn Herder and Jin and start putting this first time on all of these cards that say every time you move me. So that's a clause that's actually extremely easy to break, i.e. Akali. Uh, but yeah, we just don't have this first time clause making things very difficult for from a balance perspective, in my opinion. So Rumble Danger Zone. I think Danger Zone is his passive, right? Because he gets like the heat mechanic. Orange unit seems way better. Yeah, you're not going to be playing either of them in the champ zone at the end of the day. It's entirely going to be forecast Jace. Just like one of the things that I mention a lot when it comes to chosen champions and with some of our good legends versus bad legends, I think one of the things that people really underestimate is how powerful having a good chosen champion is. Um, it's going to, yeah. So for a lot of our legends that have historically done bad, i.e. Ari, having both of these units just be like very, very mediocre because they both cost a power. And like units that cost a power are just like, they better be doing something really, really broken. Of which neither of these units are doing anything super broken, especially when they cost 5. Like, what are we doing with this thing, man? But you know, this is I think even more so than legend ability. One of the things that's holding Ari back the most is like we have seen historically the decks that are able to play stuff like Kaisa, just guaranteed. I always have turn 2 Kaisa is always just going to be extremely powerful, right? So having that consistency is something that I think a lot of the bad legends have had. So you'll see that everyone just plays like either the 3 for 3 or the 4 for 4 Fio or just based on what you want to do for your deck. But you do that specifically just because they don't cost you a power, and your chosen champion is something that you always have access to. Draven was so good at how to get banned because it was just a 4 for 4, no power. We have access to like cards like Vex and stuff like that. And there are exceptions to the rules where like it either needs to be that needs to have an extremely powerful effect, i.e. Ezreal, in order for a legend to be particularly good, or we need to have like some sort of late game bomb, i.e. wherever the hell Rengar is at. Rengar giving you access to just this constant threat of I can just flash in 7 might whenever I want. Yeah, I'm not saying that everything needs to be once per turn, i.e. as somebody's already mentioned it. We have they were quick to get it on the site. Shout out to Built Over Archive. Um, a colleague is I think this effect is not something that's so powerful that it needs to be once per turn restricted. I do think when you have access to like the Ginfinite and drawing cards and the other two draw cards and one of them provides resources, both of which are just asking to be broken. Thoughts about Ambessa Forecast? Oh yeah, I'm surprised that they don't have this card here, the Ambessa Forecast here. Sad that Nasus's 2 CCs suck ass. Yeah. It depends upon what Nasus actually does, as well as what this card does. It's very interesting to me that they put this here without actually knowing what the card does. I think there is some world where this is broken. If this does say win the game, as a lot of people have been like hinting at, I think this would be kind of annoying. Riftbound is kind of in a weird spot where it's really difficult to hold 2 battlefields at once. So being able to play this in the back and then just like if I untap with it, I'm always threatening to win the game at any point. Could be pretty crazy, especially because you would always have access to that effect by having it in the CC zone if you're in a matchup where it's relevant. And then otherwise you don't have to like play 3 copies in this deck and break up your draws later. So planning poor and Jace play 7-cost gear is insane. Yeah, I mean it was insane in set 2. It's just inconsistency, If a Lux deck or a Victor deck is going Poro into Jace into Vanguard Armory, you're probably winning that game. It's just like you have to already be on the play, have this 3-card combination. Like it's just this stuff's not happening, right? Realistically. For 16, if you don't win, this seems ass. I think that it would. I don't know if it'd be too good, but it would be very annoying if it said win the game. I think it says score 1 point, but I'm only about my collection. Then this legend says my empowers cost 1 less for each point you have. Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. I think that might be a cool way to balance it, as if like, yeah, Nasus's legend ability is exactly that. That one I don't know, but reducing your empower costs, seeing as he's like a guy that gets empowered as the game goes on, I think would be pretty good. So That would be a based on this card at least. I do think that this saying like you score an additional point would make sense, and then maybe even 2 points would be okay, and then like his legend ability reducing the cost of empowers, I think it really thematically makes sense. So. Yeah, I mean, I'll discuss it a little bit. Splits are something that are entirely legal in all over Riftbound, but yeah, these two people needed invites, and these people did not. So, um, since a couple people asked about it, so yeah, I think it's there's like some people have asked about the idea of pass downs when it comes to invites and why we don't do them in Riftbound as they opposed to where they do them in others. But the thing is that at least based on how they've worded it, invites technically are something that can be used for like future years as well. So I think I have 5 invites right now. I want to say 5 invites. Maybe it's 6. It doesn't matter. But I could use those for however many regional champions end up existing. So that's why they don't want to do pass downs, because like they don't expire after this year. So if for some reason I never top 64 another RC, then I still have those invites queued. If I decide to just, all I'm gonna do is be a metal farmer from now on. Which who knows? Maybe that'll be me. Plank just said this set will contain quite a lot of discard support, like hand discard. That'd be somewhat annoying. I feel like hand discard's already been quite high and prevalent right now, and literally all they did was print one card that is the stupid bird. I hate that card. As somebody who got absolutely demolished by it in this event, it yeah. Actually, that's one thing we can do now that people are in here. Found events. Let's see if we can do it this way. Y'all can see into my Riftbound account if it'll let me log in. No, I'm gonna have to sign in with Google. There we go. Yeah, we'll get back to the spoilers in a second. It seems like we have a few things getting spoiled, so I do want to talk a little bit about my run through the event. It's because people are always curious, and we can go through it really quickly. This will be here to remind me. Yeah, I got just demolished by that stupid fucking bird. Okay, maybe talking about the Jinx archetype. That would be cool. One thing we haven't really seen so far is like additional support outside of the sets that things are printed in, without like outside of like universal stuff. So I think getting some additional XP support and stuff like that can be cool from some of these sets. But yeah, so for those who were paying attention to my Twitter and stuff, I did end up going undefeated through Swiss. Round 1 I had a bye. There were actually quite a few people that didn't end up showing up but did register, which is kind of expected. It's the same thing that happens at RCs, where usually there's like 10 to 20% of people who just don't show round 1. It actually ends up typically being a detriment most of the time, because this affects your breakers pretty negatively. If somebody ends up showing up in round 1, and for the majority of us, we're going to win round 1 anyways, right? At least for the higher skilled players, right? So you copy a link to the locator for this event. I think this will work. Sure. So yeah, that was my round 1. Round 2 was against a Draven who was a local player. And yeah, I actually ended up playing against a couple of Dravens at this event, which was surprising to see and not my favorite matchup. But he was a little bit newer and didn't know what set did. I think one of the benefits that I get a lot playing set is just people don't know what my deck does or how to play around it. Whereas I played set and everything, so that's part of the benefit of being like a specialist in this game, right? Is you're gonna know your deck much better than your opponent does. Round 3 was against Nazir, who ended up having like, I think I won the die roll game 1 and just had a good enough draw. to keep up, and then game 2 he just kind of bricked out. That's one of the things with the Azir deck that I've seen it obviously do well from players like Squirtle, who just like somehow go undefeated on this deck, but sometimes I see this deck just like completely brick out based on how many spells it plays. Um, and you know, it just creates so many non-games. It's also so reliant on your BF sword plus your brutalizer that I feel like the games where you don't see those cards just are so difficult, especially in a deck that has access to no draw. But yeah, I was able to actually slay my demon. Historically, Azir's been a deck I've lost quite a few times too, so yeah, I was glad to take that one down. Round 4 was against a volley bear. This match was, I think this might have been the only game that I lost. Was against this volley bear for this entire tournament. So yeah, game 1 I ended up killing him pretty quickly. Game 2 he like boarded into a Dragon Storm variation where he was using the heralds, and basically I got to a point where like Sabadim saw his hand. He had 1 or 2 draw steps that I didn't know and ended up being a challenge that blew me out, and otherwise I was gonna end up winning. So I kind of knew that he had it too. That was like one of the games where it looked like he had it. You know how players can be when they're playing with their cards. And I was like, well, it's only been 1 or 2 draw steps, and I don't think I can beat it anyways, so I just kind of have to beat it out here. Sure enough, he did end up drawing it, and I like did the math in my head, and I don't think I could have beaten the top deck challenge anyways. Specifically, it was something that hit base that was very, very annoying because he was able to kill my set kingpin in the back. And then game 3, he actually boarded into Aurora, and from the Dragon Storm, he just like took out the heralds or whatever. He made like it very apparent in game 2 to show me the heralds, even though he never actually played them. He like looked through his deck and I was like, "Where were my heralds?" in order to try and bait me into thinking that it wasn't going to be Aurora. And then obviously I still boarded in my Aurora hate, and then I was able to sabo his Aurora, and it was just a non-game, as decks like this tend to be. So yeah, that was my round 4. Round 5 was against a Rengar. This matchup's pretty good for me. I played against it a few times on the weekend, including in the Sunday event. I think I still have it up. Kyle ended up actually winning the event on breakers, unfortunately. I got second. We were actually the same record, and I beat Kyle in Swiss, but because I was also doing well and I beat him, I think that affects his breakers potentially better than he affects my breakers or something like that, since I was his only loss. So he ended up beating me by like 1 or 2%. It was really close. I was actually ahead of him on breakers going to the last round, and then for whatever reason, I think all of my opponents lost and all of his opponents won. So, but this is the 5K, so this was a much smaller event. So, that's just how it goes. So, and then bronze 6 was against a Yi. Oh, I did end up losing another game. That's right. This Yi player was able to take a game off of me, which, it's Yi. I think this is like one of the matchups that's kind of the scariest for set, even though I think it's favored, just because the game 2 where they're on Arena's Greatest just feels like impossible. I know that there's been a lot of talks about bans for Arena's Greatest, and yeah, I definitely feel it going into the E deck where it's just like you don't have time to exist. You can hardly breathe with them going first on Arena's Greatest, and yeah, my deck is not built to be able to facilitate games against that. And then round 7 was on camera against another Draven. And I think I played this pretty well. I know I had Anton messaging me afterwards and saying that it was a good game on stream. So I think I played it pretty well. Twitch won't let me follow you. Might be a bug. Yeah, that's weird. So yeah, that was my tournament. Obviously, I was undefeated through the entirety of Swiss. So I got to draw the next 2 rounds. With Deval and the Azir player, we were the 4 undefeateds. So standings at the end of round 9 looked like this. With the 4 of us here guaranteed top cut. Unfortunately, I didn't end up getting first seed by 0.8%. I think this was actually probably due to that round 1 that just didn't show. Kind of cooking my own W here, unfortunately. So, despite me playing against some pretty good players, I then ended up getting paired into the Ezreal player that ended up winning the event. And yeah, I got cooked that matchup. There wasn't even anything to say. Like, he just had pack plus the bird every game, and my deck can't beat that combination of cards. So, had I been teching for Ezreal, I would have put some camels in my board, and I think I could have made this matchup playable. But yeah, without it, it's just that matchup's just completely unwinnable. So. Yeah, that was my tournament run. Fortunately, I was still able to get the set best of despite that. So that's what really matters. There was another set that made it into Top Cut, um, but they also lost in top 16. So fortunately for me, I was able to secure the best of, despite me having the worst possible matchup for my deck. I think Ezreal might be like the only unwinnable matchup for set. But you could maybe tech to beat it, but it's like one deck that people don't really even play that much, and you lose out on a lot of percentage points because I don't think the Camels are coming in against anything but that and like maybe Diana. So, uh, Swiss ranking have any benefit? Yes, they do modified play draw and Riftbound, so whoever the higher seed is will always get to choose. So being first or second seed just means that the entirety of Top Cut you end up having you get to go first, which is obviously extremely powerful. So. It just gives people a little bit more incentive to actually play, but you know, you're always going to take the guaranteed to be in like the top four because the way the bracket ends up being is you play. Um, if you're in the top eight, then you will have top 16. You get play draw. If you're in top four, then you'll get both top 16 and top eight guaranteed play draw. And then if you're in top two, then you get everything up until the finals where you're guaranteed to have play draw choice throughout the entirety of it. So it definitely can be pretty relevant when it comes to seeding, and that's why you want to play as good of opponents as possible. So long as you beat them, like it's only a benefit to you to play against good opponents because your OMW will end up mattering. Where you know we had standings at the end of the round, we have four people that are 702, and then everyone else is the exact same record, right? So their OMW is going to be based on the match. It stands for opponent's match win percentage, and that's going to just be based on what your opponents are that you played. So, for example, there's one person that actually ended up bubbling, but I can tell you mathematically the way that ends up working is that if you lose in an earlier round, which this guy probably lost in round one, oh no, round two, no, round three. When did this guy lose? Oh, this guy, oh, he lost in round four. Jesus, okay. Yeah, this guy got extremely unlucky. Typically, the earlier you lose, the worse it is for you. So, yeah, losing in round four and bubbling out is crazy though. He must have played against only very bad opponents, and you know at that point he was just cooked. So, um, but yeah, that was my tournament run. I did see someone asking about no Diana and Top Cut being kind of wild, which is true, yes, but you always have to remember that there are 40 legends that exist in this game, and you know it's there's just going to be so much variance when it comes to all of these sorts of things that it's not that Diana fell off or something like that. It's just you know we had four of us that were in Top Cut, none of us were playing Diana. You know a lot of these other players were very good. The Azir player we hear was good. Duval obviously somebody who's topped multiple events, um, and you know that doesn't leave too much room for other legends. So you know, pretty much every other legend were just random one offs. A couple of Ys, of course. We had a Vex that was up here too. A couple of Azirs and Ezreal, etc., etc. So there's only so much room for these legends that end up making top cut. So I wouldn't put anything towards it that Diana didn't make it. I can promise you that if Alan was here and Alan was playing Diana, he would have made top 16 at this event. So. Um, oh, he drew in round five. That's what it was. That's right. This guy actually had an unintentional draw. So the later, right. I think I remember talking to him, and yeah, he had an unintentional draw here, which is what actually cooked him. Because now, for these next four rounds, he's playing against only X2s, whereas every other X1 that ended up playing it did not unintentionally draw. So this guy maybe lost in like round one or two. But because let's see when this guy lost. This guy also losing round four. He also lost round four. So yeah, he lost in round four, but did not have an unintentional draw. So which means that all of these opponents that he's playing are going to be an entire match win over BSQ here in terms of what they contribute to his score. So that was what really until you know the end when everybody just took the intentional draw. So yeah, it was very unfortunate for him that he had the same record and didn't make it, but there were reasons for it. Having the unintentional draw is Yeah, the main reason that it just kind of cooked his breakers. Lots more volley. Yeah, it was a weird spread, but when it comes to like the actual spread of these events, they're always going to be completely random. Like there's just no way to properly predict it. We'll have like the top three decks will probably always be Aurelia plus Diana plus E or whatever, right? Those are just like the most popular decks, and the people that are looking to perform well are going to play the best decks. But past that, it's just really could be anything. We saw at like most of the RQs, Pike was like I think the sixth most popular deck, or maybe it was like the seventh or eighth or something like that. But Pike, which is not even a good legend, was just was one of the more popular things to play. So Zabai for the RQ you get at skirmishes, good for tiebreakers. Yes. Buys are different from no shows, that's correct. Buys are typically pretty good for tiebreakers. I think every system's a little bit different, but buys traditionally just like magnify your other breakers, because you just don't you have one less opponent that you're playing against, so it just makes your other breakers more impactful. So if you're doing well, the buy makes you do even better, and if you're doing poorly, the buy does make you end up doing a little bit worse. So, but if you're already doing poorly anyways, then like on breakers anyways, then you're always going to be cooked. So buys are perfect breakers in Magic. Yeah, this system's I don't know that it's the same in this system, but yeah. Um, Otherwise, it'd be a little bit too powerful, I think. Is that true for regional and all skirmish? My skirmish has made me roll dice still. I think it's up to TO's discretion at the skirmish level. At least last time I went to a skirmish, it was. I don't know if that's still the case. I gotta go to. I'll leave this tab up. I need to go to a skirmish at some point because I think I still need one or two more buys. Now that I think about it, but flow seems like a very good mechanic. Yes, traditionally is. Isn't Pack of Wonders the real issue? Yeah, I do think that cards like Pack of Wonders do just create um, non-games, right? A lot of the times. But we have a lot of cards like this that exists, so it's hard to target one specific one and say, oh yeah, this one's the problem. I think they've been at a point where they want Gear Hate to be a little bit more playable than it is. It's just the game's in a little bit of an awkward spot where it's really difficult to dedicate cards to Gear Hate because there's so many different ways to dedicate to Gear Hate, right? If you're trying to target like Aurora, then you want access to your Gear Hate to be in like Auction, because otherwise your Gear Hate can get sabotaged, right? Whereas against cards like Pack of Wonders, you just want access to salvage. You want to like get rid of it. Otherwise, your auction's just going to die anyways. So um, I think a lot of it's just not having access to enough sideboard slots. So I hope that's something that change at some point. Just given how many decks exist right now, I think we could definitely afford a few more sideboard slots than the 8 that we currently have. Do we talk about Kennen already? Yeah, we can go. I think that's most of what I want to talk about the event. I think it was really cool. Should people have any of these, definitely go out and support all of these people that are doing it. They work very hard. We have one next weekend in Pittsburgh. And then, we have a few that are in August in Canada. We have one in New Zealand, one in Germany, and then a couple back in the US over in August and September. And then we have one back in Spain and cool stuff. Hosting one in October in Orlando, which is pretty close to me. So, are they dropping spoilers on a stream or something via Twitter? I mean, I'm just gonna trust Piltover Archive for any spoilers that are supposed to come out today. They had a schedule that I think is posted. It's one of these for the Vendetta preview season. So this tells you like who's spoiling what. So all of these people will have spoilers coming out tomorrow, and you can just click on them and it'll probably direct you to wherever it is that you can find it. So Sam, I guess, will be doing it on his Twitch. This person will be doing it on the YouTube, etc., etc. How come I moved back to Florida? I had a job out in Texas and a girlfriend at the time, and my girlfriend and I unfortunately broke up, and then I quit the job to do Riftbound full time. So yeah, it wasn't much of a reason for me to be there anymore. So now we're back home. 6 p.m. PST for the dev stuff. Yep. So we have about an hour for the dev stuff. Until then, we can kind of kill time with some brewing or answering questions about what we've seen from set 4 now that we've got some stuff that we can actually talk about here. Looks like these Jaces were the only things that were spoiled today so far. I do have a spoiler card. I am on the schedule for when my spoiler card comes out. It is July 13th is when my card will be spoiled. So I think this is on... Yeah, it's on next Monday, so I think my current plan is to just show it off on stream. We'll just end up doing a stream that day. And you all can come back next week and see what my spoiler card is. So... and we also have Anton, who has a spoiler as well on the Friday before, so I believe he'll be dropping a video for his. That's at least what I believe his intention is. You plan to stay on set through the next set? No. I will not be playing set no more. I think even if I were to go to... I don't think I'm going to Pittsburgh, so I'm just kind of tired and need a break, so... I think I'm gonna take the next 3 weeks off to start testing set 4 a little bit and work on that. So that's a good question that can lead me towards our next topic here. Is someone's asking, what do you think the best Jace deck will be? And there's some decks that you can do some brewing on right now, and there's some that you cannot, in my opinion. One of the decks that you cannot do brewing on right now is Jace. Jace is a type of deck that is going to have a lot of support that's dedicated to him in this set, and until we see a lot of the support, we just will not be able to know what we're doing with Jace, right? So until the entire set is spoiled, don't even think about brewing a deck like Jace. On the other hand, I do think Akali and Kennen are a little bit more universal legends in the way that they're built, and potentially can work a lot better with cards that currently exist, right? See, Orange Jace is a good card for set. I don't see Orange Jace as a good card for anybody. How many OGM plus PG legends do you think we'll see play next set? Probably primarily just Yi, right? I think Yi is still, assuming things don't change dramatically, still theoretically going to be broken, just because it's such a powerful legend ability, and like Rengar is never going to be a bad card when it's flashing in for 8 and then combining it with charms. Like, both Jace are too expensive, yes. The only playable Jace CC will be the 4-cost one, so Akali can be brewed, yeah. I think Akali and Kennen can both be brewed right now. I think there are variations of them that both of which can exist. I don't know what Forgotten Signpost is, so I'll have to be a reader for a second. I know what the artwork is, but let's see. Exhaust the unit control. Have a different unit control to the location of the unit you exhausted to pay for this ability. Okay. More movement shenanigans, I suppose. I think it's a little bit too niche, but Fear Akali will become an Aurelia deck. Yeah, there's lots of ways that you can build Akali. I don't know if it'll let me actually build her. But we can start. Yes. My perfect legend. Yeah, but there's lots of different ways that she can be built based on how this champion works, or how we assume that she works. Yeah, Kennen will be a lot more complicated, so we'll get to Kennen afterwards. We did, I guess, unofficially see the signature spell. I think. I want to say someone was posting it in one of the Discords at some point, but I think that was a leak, so we won't talk too much about that. Want to call it to be a gear heavy deck with Ribbon and Rel so much. Yeah, I don't think those cards are very playable in my mind. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can do it with her. Um, Obviously, one of the things that we're first going to look at is just anything that has like a when I move trigger. And I guess if you want to do a gear heavy version, you could like do some Apprentice Smith shenanigans. Um, English Discord sales are back to 40 on TCG player, quadrupled since the teaser video. Yeah, that makes sense. I wish I had bought some myself, but the Canon Sig isn't a leak. It's not on Piltover Archive, so I assumed it was a leak. But I mean, there's even some leaks that are here, so I see. It's just only shown half the card in the photo. I see. Well, we know what the Canon Sig spell does then, so. Yeah, thanks for the Prime sub. All y'all over on Twitch. We appreciate the Prime subs for whoever has them. Make sure that you use them every month if you have them. Do not let Bezos walk away with more free money. Kali is going to be top tier if her signature is good enough. Hopefully it involves movement. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people saying that. I think one of the things that people kind of underestimate when it comes to abilities that are strong like this is you don't typically, if you have a thing that already gives you movement, you're looking for something else. You don't just want like the entire deck to be based on movement, because as soon as you play into something that is good against movement, then you're going to have a problem, right? So in an ideal world, we're looking at, if we want to make her as strong as possible, we're looking for something other than movement. Granted, with what her abilities are in the game, I'm sure it will just be something very movement based. But yeah, I think I would like a Sig spell that's a little bit better. Well, I'm always one. I would love a Sig spell that lets us hold. Maybe it's like her W in game. That's like the Shroud thing. That's like similar to Counter Strike or something like that. That can prevent her or allow her to hold as well. It could be really cool. Plated Battle Axe too expensive with this deck. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really started putting cards in. I'm personally of the opinion that I think Jin will be pretty good, and I mean, you have like access to so many different movement-based things. You have access to Stellacorn Herder, and you also have access to like Aurelia. These are all just units that synergize super well with our Legend ability. I don't know if there's anything else here that really does anything with our Legend ability as of current. I'm sure there will maybe be something new that comes out. I mean, Apprentice Smith works well with it too, but I don't think that we're going to be gear heavy in a deck like this. But decks like this can kind of build themselves, where, if we're playing all the green stuff, then you can just put in the green cards that we know are all very broken. Nobody has ever been mad at having access to these cards in their deck, right? Now, if we want to be like heavier on the Jin side of things, then now we can start abusing cards like Falling Star if we want access to this. We still need some 2-drops, so you just use the broken green ones and Lonely Poro. There are other 2-drops that we'd pay actually. Because we don't have Pit Rookie. The red 2-drops are kind of buns, from what I remember. Are we going to play Gym Jammers? I already kind of have. I guess we could, like, give her Aurelia ganking or something, but. Can only move back on your turn and during a showdown. Yes, correct. Well, you still would have to sack something in order to make the signpost work, so, like, if you wanted to do that, you could make like an argument for like signposting in, and then you could get it out of there with like sacking crabs and stuff. But my issue with like personal issue, whether it be good or not in the game with that is, oh yeah, we obviously want Ferris Forerunner, is that you just like aren't capable of holding whenever you make decks like that, and that's always a little bit of a problem for me personally. Skull and Inferno. Yeah, I guess Inferno's never bad. Sure, we can do some Infernos and Scuttle just to show like a theoretical sample deck that could exist for this, but you know, this is already 37 cards, and we still don't even have any new whatever her Sig spell is, you know, could theoretically be here. And, you know, you have like a pretty comprehensive deck is something that's gonna do the thing pretty well. Maybe the gens aren't actually gonna work out in this deck because we aren't like super power hungry. Although we're paying for it is like charms and falling stars and stuff. But it does like still work with Ferris Warner and stuff too. Um, Ambush slash Red Rengar kind of looks, yeah, I could see Red Rengar being pretty good because you can like send in a 2-drop. You can ambush the Red Rengar and then send your 2-drop back. I like Red Rengar as well as something if we want some extra power. I think this could be a pretty good addition to this style of strategy because you just like move your Stella in, move your Jin, and play the Rengar, and then back out, which is really cool. Oh, my face is in the way. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Let's move us over here. Boom. There we go. So, you know, obviously we still need Sig spells and any new cards that come out in set 4, but you know, there's like so many good cards that this color combination and this strategy has access to. That something like this will work out super well, right? Spellsonger cards like Spellsonger are never going to be good, just because they're so win more. At least in my personal opinion. Like obviously, once we start generating like 6 energy and 6 power off of our Legend plus Jin or drawing 6 cards, it's like great. But I mean, it works with Death Knell, it works with Aurelia, all these sorts of things. But this card is just so expensive, and we're already in like a position where the game is dominated by all these bounce spells with like now they're just like extra rebuke for whatever reason as to why this card exists. You like Spellsonger up your guy and they play this on you and you're like, oh well, that sucks, I guess. If I don't have the Defy, I just kind of die. So this game is like so points oriented that I just don't think that we're ever really in a position where we can just be playing do nothing cards like this because they functionally are. These cards don't actually do anything, right? So Upstage Comedy could be interesting. Yeah, I don't think that card's terrible as like a really shitty flash. If we're looking for that sort of effect for some extra utility to potentially get our guys out of there after sending them in. Well, you can't really say Minotaur is the mirror match card because you can't play this card if it's oh, I don't know what the Minotaur is actually called. You can't play Minotaur in your deck because it also stops you. So if you're playing a card that just like equally neuters both you and your opponent, then it's probably not where you want to be, right? There's a stupid guy, yeah, Minotaur Reckoner. Yeah, so. But, you know, this guy's always here if Akali ever ends up running amok and being a true problem. Yeah, you can play Emperor's Divide. I mean, I am assuming with how they've designed Akali that, like, her signature spell is going to be some sort of movement thing that'll be better than Emperor's Divide or Signpost or any of that sort of stuff. So, you know, you would find some room for that in a list like this. More so than anything. If you rebuke a unit with gear, yeah, the gear just goes back to base. Green Yasuo is too expensive? Yeah, probably. I mean, you could, like, sideboard cards like that. I don't know. I'm searching green. Like, it's going to pop up. But, yeah, this guy is absolute buns. And outside of, like, some sort of weird hold deck. But, you know, being able to get attack triggers and then send them back is pretty good. The only thing that's, like, awkward is... I don't know if we have... Do we have any attack triggers in this color combination? Assault doesn't really count because it's only while you're an attacker. So you need something that says like, when I attack is something that could potentially be beneficial. I guess you can if you're Mask of Foresighting, then you can like give things an extra +1. Yippee. You can go all in on the like dealing damage thing with the worst card in set 2. God, it only has Assault 1. That card's so bad. I mean, but we already have access to that with our Akali chosen champion, right? If we want to like move and do all those sorts of shenanigans, right? So yeah, these are, I guess you can rel multiple times. So I know someone was mentioning they wanted to do like a rel deck with like long swords and all that sort of stuff, and I think you could make it work. Could be on like rels plus gins, both as ways to just play your equipment for super cheap. But I think that there just aren't very good equipment is the biggest issue. I mean, I guess you have access. Your best ones are like brutalizer plus longsword. It's like all that we really have access to. I don't even know what this card does. It's just like attack or defend, deal 2 damage to you. So sure, you can like recurve bow up your Akali and empower her, and it only costs you like 7 energy and 2 power. And now when she attacks, he gets to do 2 damage, or he gets to do 4 damage. That's crazy. Riven, yeah, I guess Riven is one that does technically work. I think is Riven not in the. Oh, Riven's not in the card library for some reason, but yeah. But Riven is, yes, I think that's something that they really. I will never criticize them too much, but I do think they need to kind of work on their design a little bit when they print cards like Riven that exist and then compare them to like this Akali, and it's just like these cards are night and day. I think they could have made that Riven like not cost a power and then make it maybe only deal like 1 damage or something, or remove the weapon master, and it would be actually playable. Um, 2 masks, you can swing Stella for 7 plus draw 3 and threaten 9 might charms. Yeah. It just requires a lot when you're having to set up multiple masks and stuff like that. Yeah. My opinion is that if a 3-cost unit costs a power, then it better like pay your college tuition. It better take the kids to school. It better cook. It better clean. It's got to do everything. Otherwise, like, it's got to have a 6-figure job, be 6 feet, like literally everything for a 3-drop to cost a power and then be playable. Which they just have not printed anything like that. I mean, Ezreal is like the closest. Like, let's look at Ezreal as a card, right? Um, wherever the hell this guy is, and this guy isn't even seeing play anymore. Just to talk about like, he's set 2. But this is a guy that just like discard 1, draw 2 is crazy, and all of your optional costs now cost 1 or a power less, and this guy's just seeing absolutely 0 play because he costs a power, and that's just like unacceptable. So, yeah. Has anyone tried Katarina in a Pike deck? I saw Cody was playing Katarina in his Jinx deck at some point, but Jank is what I would describe it as too. So, but yeah, this is about the most that we can do with Akali right now. Is like you could cook up some sort of equipment deck if you wanted. I don't think it would be very good personally, but just because like again, most of these decks end up putting themselves in positions when they're playing all these equipments that they can't hold very well. And you're also having to set up, so your opponent's going to be ahead on points. And if you can't hold and you let your opponent be ahead on points in this game, then your deck's bad. Like it's just going to be over at that point. So, but yeah, this is kind of where Akali is right now until we see more cards. She definitely will be a legend that will have a lot more support in the set, I'm sure, with nonsense that triggers on move, and obviously her signature spell is something that we haven't even seen yet. So. Yeah, we can move on to the actual interesting one for now. Don't get me wrong, I think Akali will be great. And there's a good chance that I want to play her for reasons. But yeah, until we actually get more of her cards, there's not much that we can do with her. So, new Jace useless? Yes. Good call on that one. Where is the rat? So this guy, on the other hand, is not useless. I will say that his legend abilities leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's like fine. I kind of already knew going in that this legend ability could pretty much say anything and it would have some potential playability, given this color combination. So the fact that his legend ability is kind of a nothing burger is a little disappointing, but you know, just giving a soap +2. I mean, it's not the worst. You're getting like a free half of a cleave theoretically every other turn, but you know, compared to like his compadre or counterpart in Yi, that's just like, yeah, you get +2 might on defense every single time. Like, yeah, that's gonna be a lot better, in my opinion. So I guess we counteract Yi hero power, but it also requires you to play cards from anywhere other than your hands. So uh, I don't know how. Obviously, there are lots of ways that we can do that in theory, but yeah, being action speed is cool. That's true. If there's a green defy 1/1 card that unempowers some reaction speed, I don't think that'll be a thing. Oh, yeah, Andrew, the Rek'Sai player. Yeah, Andrew was nice. What's my 5 energy, 1 power for 4 might that is 2 damage and a lot? Yeah. I mean, the thing about the empower mechanic that I'll tell people to keep in mind is that when you have like alternate costs like that, you can't think of it as just exactly like 5 and a power for it, because you know the Akali still does quite a lot. It's just a 3 for 3, and then the empower is tacked on there where like when you need access to this effect, it's there. I'll say that probably in 8 out of 10 games you're not going to use it. 4 out of 5 games you're not going to use the empower ability on the Akali. Sure, but when there is that one situation where you need exactly this, you play into like an overzealous fan and you need to be able to deal it 2 damage, then you have access to that. So, um, but yeah. So let's see. Lux can't hold or be ahead on points though. She's still a good deck. I mean, she's a combo deck, so that's like Lux isn't playing Riftbound. But I'm just saying for any deck that's playing traditional mid-rangey, you need to be able to do one or the other. So you just can't take turns off. I mean, if you just like kill all your opponent's units and they have nothing to score with, sure. Then, but most decks can't do that, and then you still lose to any deck that's able to regularly accelerate stuff. That's like what the Ezreal does right now, right? It's a deck that can't hold, and it also doesn't score early, but it just kills every unit that your opponent plays eventually, and it has like an inevitability win condition. Same with Lux. So there are exceptions to the rules, but the Ezreal and Lux exceptions are made because they aren't mid-range decks. When you're playing like a equipment-based slow dirtily deck, you're still a mid-range deck trying to play the game, and you just can't take turns off in this game. What's more important, breaking boards or solidifying them? I mean, solidifying boards is much harder than breaking them in Riftbound traditionally. So I will say that if you can have like an unbreakable wall as somebody plays set, it tends to be pretty powerful because it's not something people are used to dealing with. But I am personally on the side of wanting to have a solid ability to hold to some degree, because you know at some point if you're ever behind, then if you're ahead, then great, you never have to worry about some nonsense like holding. But when you're behind, the only way they can catch up is by holding a push. So I speak on Hook? No, I haven't really spoken anything yet. So there's 3 different ways that Kinning can be built based on just the cards that we currently have, which is why I think this guy is super complicated. Um, I don't even know which is the most obvious one, but we can talk about. We'll start with like the one that is somewhat interesting, I suppose, just so we can get through it. For those who aren't aware, there's an infinite combo that has been available since set 2, but has not been playable because it is specifically in this color combination. So this combo allows you to make infinite tokens, and it's only a 3-card combo. Notably, we're also in purple with Kennen's signature spell, giving us access to 6 stack decks, which is obviously pretty powerful. When's the dev video dropping? Here in about 50 minutes, so we're just kind of killing time until then. What is the strongest deck against Victor, in your opinion, right now in Unleashed? I would probably have to go into the matchup matrix and check and see. from the previous events what it's lost the most to. But yeah, so if you ask me a little bit later, I can maybe take a look and see. So if we're doing this nonsense, then obviously we can just make our deck, in theory, just all draw spells and the ability to break. So we'll probably want like Rebukes and Gusts to survives. We'll want like Traveling Merchants because they draw. We'll want Stack Decks. Wonder why they decided to do spoilers so late. I don't really know. That one I don't have an answer on. I don't know why there's a set 5 card in here. Wait, this is a set 5 card, right? And they like spoil this. Yeah, this is in Radiance. They just like spoiled this super early. No, we aren't gonna be able to play with her forever. If Canon Sig spell says play one instead of add to hand, how big of a downgrade is that? Significant downgrade. Is that a possibility? Do I think this will be viable competitively? I hope not. Is my take. We don't have. We'll use this as the Canon Sig spell because it's not in here. I guess this is our only Canon. I mean, this card's fine. It's definitely not like my favorite thing to be doing, but yeah, that's at least something. So, we have Canon Sig spells. I mean, you can even play the Scryer's Bloom if you want, just like literal maximum draw just to try and get your combo and get it online. And in theory, if you get this combo, then you do just kind of win the game. I don't know that there's much that's able to stop it. It just comes down to you have to be able to get into a battlefield with this combo. So this is one that has like a million different ways to build it based on what you think the meta will be. Like you really don't need to care about points. It really just comes down to make infinite might on each battlefield and hope that's enough, right? So I'm getting there. You guys are rushing me. So that's what I just want to get this one out of the way. This is something that theoretically can exist for it. The one that everyone apparently wants me to talk about is obviously Miracle, which is something that does exist for this color combination. Which, Seal's already got bought out, which makes sense. Automatically lose to Vilemaw, plus not so fast. You do not lose to Vilemaw. Vilemaw still has you still have to break the units even if they can't deal damage. But regardless. Against the odds does get you. There are theoretically things that counter it, yes, but you do need the specific counter cards. I hope that Pursuer gets banned. That's my personal opinion on it. So yeah, Miracle appears to at least be somewhat back. We use Sacrifice as our. I guess Sacrifice is theoretically a playable card in this deck, but that will have to be our signature spell for now. So yes, this is a thing that is playable, I'm sure. This combination of cards is going to be difficult to not be playable, right? In some way, shape, or form. I will say that I don't have a legend. Doesn't that combo get banned before set drop? I don't know. They haven't said anything about wanting to ban it yet, and so I mean, I guess we can play Ezreal. I don't know if we're using the secondary effect of Ezreal at all in this deck is the only thing. Let's see. Optional costs. Does this work with flow? I don't know if it's considered an optional cost. Place from your trash first. Yeah, you can throw a shovel in here too. Nah, you just blast rights. Should be alternate, not optional. Optional addition. Oh yeah, it's optional additional cost. So yeah, it doesn't even work with those. So I don't even know if Ezreal's going to be that strong in this. Yeah, flow is mandatory, so it doesn't work with that. I don't even know if we have any optional costs. I mean, obviously, just like a 3 for 3 that's discard one, draw two. In theory, is good. Um, but yeah. So I don't really know where we go from here, though, is the only issue. That, like, in Draven, we had access to battering ram. Obviously, we'll play, like, a star-crossed or two, so we can go infinite with our fizz and be annoying. But, like, I don't know where our payoff is with this deck. Like, obviously, we can make a couple of super cheap Rosas. I think one thing that we could do, even though this card is like otherwise pretty unplayable, is we could like play a Shadows of the Past. Um, God, they keep. I guess they're templating this for multiplayer. Is that why they keep doing this? You can like Shadows back a couple of Rosas or something. Um, but yeah, I don't really know where we go from here. Is my only issue with this strategy is like we aren't really doing that much. Um, Rasa Downwell. Yeah, we're never getting Rasa Downwell energy. There's nothing really for us to hook. I mean, like we hook to see more nocturnes, I guess, but we aren't. There's nothing to play. Um, I just don't know that like token strategy is gonna work. So I know this is what people are like hyped about or whatever. You probably play like. Well, currently we don't have any yellow costs, power costs, but you know, Vi is probably worth paying yellow for. Mixologist Heedless. Yeah, I mean, Mixologist Fizz is like a thing too, but you can like Mixologist plus play a Fizz, play a Starcross, or you know whatever your specific spell is that you're looking for. I think my issue with this that I think people are kind of overlooking right now is like, yeah, we can draw our deck and we can play a bunch of free Rossas and Nocturnes, but like, then what? Um, Helix Nocturne and Divide. Yeah, I mean, there's like a tons of things we can theoretically do, but now we're at a point where like we're wanting to have purple seals for all of our Rossas and Fizzes and Ezreals and Starcross, and then we also want yellow seals for these baited hooks. Um, I'm not saying that this deck is like completely trash or anything, but with these cards right here, this is not a cohesive deck in my mind. I don't think that we're doing enough to really justify all this. Um, can you not just play Pactro Kim? Yeah, I mean you can. In theory. I don't think it would be better than like Ezreal. There'd have to be a specific reason why we're playing Kennen for us to do that. You got Shovel for Infinite Dudes. Yeah, I mean maybe just triple Rasa is enough to make this strategy work, and I'm being a little downer. I just remember from like playing Miracle Draven as much as I did, the Rams did as much work as the Rosas did. Right? So but it is quite possible that like we're just gonna be all in on Rasa and hope that we can see 2 copies every game, and then if we don't, our deck does nothing. Do hidden cards count for Kennen Legends? Let's see. You play a card from anywhere other than your hand. Yes, it does work with hidden cards. It's talking about Vanguard Captain. Is this the card I think it is? It's just the make... Yeah, make 2 guys with Legion. I don't know that tokens are really doing anything for us. Yeah, I just not having access to like Rams or any other efficient units. I mean, I guess we can just like put in some mid-range cards or whatever that we're never gonna be sad about, like Vexes, right? But like, are we supposed to be playing other 2 drops? What are our 2 drops? We have like Honest Broker. Don't know that I want access to that. Super wide tokens with Harrowing Baron. It's like 5 purple. I mean, I guess maybe. I feel like that's a different deck than what we currently have here. If we wanted to Harrowing Baron, Otacon plus Rasa. Uh, I just the issue I run into with like cards like Otacon is just like it's just if anything that costs this much energy, even if it is does get like cheated a little bit and it's only costing us 2 yellow. Well, first of all, us costing us 2 yellow is really difficult because our split is going to be like probably 8-4 or something like that. We with Vi being the only yellow card that we currently have access to, right? So this card's not castable. We need access to more purple in order to play the game early. Um, but yeah, I just don't think we can afford like you can't just have like a bunch of yellow power with all the purple power that we have access to, especially with the early game stuff. I mean, like I guess the token you could make like a token strategy. Overzealous fan, fans are fine. I could always play like one fan. Always liked having access to one fan when we were on the last rights plan. Even maybe play like a second last rights. This is our strategy. Going in on purple with just the occasional yellow need for hook. Yeah, I mean the hook is going to be a different strategy than this goes. I don't know that you're doing all this with Rasa and Ezreal's and all these like even Fizz is going to be like kind of difficult if we're trying to do find room for all the hook nonsense. Yellow seals cover Nocturne Power too. Yeah, but I mean, I think that'll be more the seal version, right? This is like people talking about miracle stuff. This is what miracle stuff is, and I think it falls a little bit short just from looking at what we have right now. I think we're just missing a little bit to make this work. Action speed fizz by sacking mixologists. Yeah, I mean it's good. Scryers. Sacrifice is Kennen 6 spell because we don't for some reason it's not in built over archive. I don't think vision is impactful enough for the 2 drops. There's other stuff we want to be doing early. Yeah, it's just like when we were in Draven, we had access to like spinning axe as a way to be able to break boards. We don't really have access to that. Like last rights is our closest thing to that. We don't have access to battering ram as an additional like 15 might that we're losing off of our board. We still lost Fireflight and Called Shot. Don't get me wrong, like Kitten Six Spell is nice as an alternative, but when we're comparing it to like full power Miracle Draven, we're basically just subbing out the called shots for this Kennen Sig spell, which is definitely worse. And then still putting ourselves in this position where like we just don't really have a payoff yet for this. So I think of the cards that currently exist, probably some variation on Hook is going to be a little bit stronger, um, which means changing out quite a few things. I think in my mind. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still a possibility that like a shell like this ends up performing well. Um, I'm just not seeing it fully here yet. Even with like 1 or 2 extra cards to support this kind of style of deck coming out in this set, I think could be enough to push this over the edge. Because it's close. We're just missing a little bit, I think, for this to be a cohesive deck, in my personal opinion. Um, so I think the buyout on seals is maybe a little bit overhyped right now. Anytime that people see something miracle esque, it's going to be problematic. You could play Scryer's Bloom too if you want, I guess, but this card's like kind of slow. If we're just looking to avoid playing 2 drops and then just like try and find all of our Rosses and stuff, then sure you can go in on Bloom plus deck plus Cannon Six Spell. Is it Lightning Rush? Maybe I don't actually know what it is. Why don't we just cheat and color Rams purple? You know what? That's good. I like that. Emo cards in the trash and hit Nocturne able to play them. No. Has to be specifically revealed, but the Kinnan spell, I don't know if it looks or if it just like mills 3 and then grabs 1, but I'm pretty sure it looks. So the Kinnan Sig spell, Stack Deck, and Scryer's Bloom will all look for your Nocturnes. And then obviously the Canon 6 bill has flow. That's what we don't use other words here. It's flow. Rebuilt Detonate Draven the other day since a buddy never played against Miracle Detonate Draven. I was on a full set 2 list and he was on Dana. That was fun. Yeah. I mean, obviously things have escalated a bit. I do still think Miracle Draven just from set 2 would be extremely broken, even without like the set 3 editions of like Starcross and potentially Vex is out of the board and stuff. But yeah, Vex would probably be one of the counters for the mirror match. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, draw isn't what this deck needs. It has infinite draw with all this sort of stuff. It's just missing like the payoffs. Our only payoffs are Rosses, right? So, yeah, I don't think this deck is quite there yet. For not to rain on everyone's parade who bought out the their seals or whatever, but I don't know that I personally see it yet. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing people are wanting to talk about, so I guess we can take a look and see what the hook variation of this list ends up being. So let's pull up the handy dandy rain on everyone's parade calculator so I can explain hook math to people, because this is one of the more important things that I think people do not appreciate when it comes to combining a deck like Hook with what we have right now. This is the no fun allowed calculator that we have here. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say sell the seals. I think that seals are still a good pickup. I'm sad I missed the buyout and probably should have bought them as soon as I saw the Canon 6 bell, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, seals will always be overhyped. This will always be a rotation. So yes, that is. Tried the win on Kog'Maw while having a card that's on board, not excite anyone else. You get to nuke a Battlefield for 8. I think the issue with Riftbound is that like you can't just deal with battlefields in Riftbound. I think that's something people miss a lot, is like clearing a battlefield once is cool, but because the game is built the way that it is and like a 0 might unit scores for the same as a 100 or 1,000 or a million might, a Baron Nashor scores the same as a sneaky deckhand does, right? Like these cards score the same amount of points no matter how big they are. So unless you're like forcing your opponent to do some amount of pressure early, you're always going to run into the issue that like they can just score for free, and then as soon as you set up your combo that does clear a battlefield, the only thing you're clearing is like a sneaky deckhand or something. So nobody's ever forced to contest battlefields, and I think that's one of the big things that people always have to keep in mind with all the fun strategies. As much as I hate to rain on everyone's parade, I think that's always my take whenever it comes to cute stuff like that, unfortunately. Is the Jace reveal legit? Yeah, I mean, I think it's here. I have no reason to doubt the Jace reveal. It's on like a real website. So, but yeah, so Hook, I mean, Hook into theoretically things is a thing. However, when we were playing Hook, as somebody who has done this math for LeBlanc, I think you're always looking at 5 cards, right? And our deck size is 39 cards. So in order to have a respectable amount of Hook hits, let's just look at 10 hits. Let's say we'll go through the hypothetical. We're sacking 5 mites. We have like, I don't know, we'll go Harness Dragons, Mixologists. We have Vise, and then we have Rosses, I guess. So these are our theoretical hits. If we only have 3, 6, 11 hits, and we're hitting 5 cards, we're hitting one about 83% of the time, which is honestly, in my opinion, probably not good enough. Whiffing on a hook is just like the worst thing possible. We can never modify the card's drawn number. It will always go for 5. So realistically, in order for it to get to, you want it to be like 92 to 93%, in my opinion. So I think we probably need somewhere between like probably 15 to 16 targets that we actively want to hit off of our hook, if that's our plan. Um, but you know, we're also going to be extremely power hungry with this variation. So we're probably going to need seals just in order to like survive. Um, Orange blue gonna be garbage or broken? Right now garbage, but you know, it's a color combination that's gonna get a lot of support, I'm sure. So I don't really know where we go from here though. Like currently we don't have any 2 drops in our deck, so we aren't contesting early. Like we still need more big guys in our deck to make this work. Soul Gorger is a possible hook target. Yeah, I think the issue is like the power costs, right? Um, Karina. I haven't heard that name in a long time. I mean, I guess she technically is a is a hit. This card is really bad though. But sure, just for shits and giggles. We can technically play anything up to, well, we do have some 5-miters, so ideally 6-mite, but we actually absolutely have to. Let's see what we can go for 7-mite. From the 5 to 7 range, we can see what our theoretical hits are that we have here. Obviously, somebody already mentioned Soul Gorger. Fear the curve, hook curve would be lower, targeting for Mike. Kind of like with the Utrecht Darius list. Yeah, we can look at that. Maybe that will be a little bit more exciting than what we currently are at. Because, like, when it comes to the big hook lists, like, I guess you can make an argument for Otacon. We just aren't doing anything fancy with this card. Like, I just don't think this card really does that much when we're actually just like hard casting it. And then as soon as you start playing like all these big guys, like sure, we could play Rift Heralds as well if we really want to. And maybe even actually play copies of Sacrifice or something in this side of the deck. But I don't really like the look of this. I think this is just like a bad LeBlanc list, I think is what this is going to eventually be. Because we don't have any way to like duplicate our hooks or anything like that. So I think people are right that like we can't really be on the big guys plan. I think that just kind of has to be off. Maybe we just have to be a little bit more aggressive with this. You never seen Karina? Yeah, she's the special one to say the least. Um, yeah, Under Titan doesn't actually do anything, so I think the big hook. I mean, yeah, I guess you can hook into Mind Splitters. Somebody mentioned was like okay, but we just also don't have anything to do with all these cards in our hand once we've gotten to that point. So maybe if we cap at this like 4 to 5 might range. But I mean, the other thing people were like wanting to do is like, um, what's the stupid ghost called? I mean, we can like make infinite tokens, I suppose. That's always kind of cool. Oh wait, I have the wrong filters on. That makes sense. So we could be on like a Vanguard Captain-esque list. Yes, exactly. That's why I think Hook with like the big guys works much better in LeBlanc because we're not losing anything as soon as we get to like duplicate our big guys. But if we're just turning one big guy into another big guy, I don't think that's gonna ever be better than LeBlanc in a million years, right? Ooh, Anton. Oh, appreciate it, Nico. Let me know if you have any questions. We're just here yapping for another day now that spoiler season is here. People are hyped. And currently I'm kind of raining on my own parade too, as I thought that this would look a lot better than it actually is, or has been so far. But you know, we'll get there. So I mean we can traveling merchant. And you know, this is at least like we probably need some other 2 drops. The new green Nasus would be too strong instead when I conquer gain 2 points. I think it could be 2 points. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. When the spoilers are started, yeah, we're waiting. We got another 25 minutes by the looks of it, so we're just kind of killing time in the meantime. Do some Q&A, do a little bit of brewing, but yeah. Spectral Matrons. Like, we could do something like this where we're just like trying to infinite Vanguard Captain dot deck. I don't really know what our payoff is though. We just what do I think will be happening is Stealthy Pursuer, and Renata. I hope it gets banned, but some people have foolishly believed that it'll be okay. I think it's just one of those things that like even if it is okay, it requires such specific cards that are otherwise unplayable as counterplay that I would personally prefer it to just be banned. Every list people have posted on Twitter so far has looked like a 39 card pile of nonsense. Yeah, that's kind of my take looking at this as well. Is like this is just all kind of bad. I don't mean to be that guy, but yeah, none of this looks particularly powerful. Like a lot of this like sounds good in theory. Like yes, we can hook our mixologist and revive a fizz and play a Starcross and then play a Nocturne and then play like a Vanguard captain off of all this. But like this is like what I would refer to as a magical Christmas list where like if all of this stuff does perfectly line up somehow that we're able to facilitate that, then like yeah, that's great. But what happens when we don't see baited hook quick enough, or we don't have like any of our early plays, and we just end up getting flooded with our hand of like spectral matrons and mixologists and Vise and Rossos without any of our like low cost enablers and such, you know. Coal of the week. I don't know what Yielding Sands is, but Coal is I think one of the most overrated cards in all of Riftbound, in my personal opinion. But I mean, if we're playing like the token strategy, then Coal's like probably always fine. You can like Coal Fizz Coal maybe, but cook a pack trove list. Purple Cannon, help you flow your removal spells. Oh, the chosen champ. I don't know what our removal spells are like. Coals. Galio, no good. I guess Galio maybe in the hook version if we wanted to cheat it, but yeah, I mean, so far as much as people were like, I don't even want to see it. Of all these lists, the first list actually had like a real win condition. The rest of these decks just like I don't know what we're supposed to do to facilitate this sort of strategy to make it work. Like what? I play some birds for our 2 drops. But like what is this really even doing? Tokens with Baron. We can see what that looks like. Sure. I think that's maybe one of the cool things that theoretically works, but I don't know if we're even a hook deck if that's what we're doing. I guess maybe, but we have to cut like so a lot of this nonsense that we're cutting because I think the only way that you can do it is we play like a couple of barons and then we play a what do we Soul Gorger it? Do we harrowing it? I guess Soul Gorger we can hook into, so sure. Try and do something like this. Probably have to. Is there anything else that makes tokens? Is this really like it? I guess Carrion Dredger is like a theoretically playable 2-drop. Oh, Shave of Eye. Yeah, this is all ass. I mean, this is where I'm at with it too. I mean, maybe we aren't like a Fizz Cross deck. We're just trying to make tokens, and at this point, like, are we even a mixologist deck? Are we just trying to spectral matron? Because I'm not really trying to just sack off this mixologist without like all the fizz shenanigans. Like, I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing here with all these tokens. I guess we can play some evangels to make a bunch of tokens and then just try and do the Soul Gorger Nash thing, but as like a finisher. The issue with this is always that like none of our shit has tank, right? So they can always just if they can just kill the might of the Baron Nashor, then now all of our tokens shrink again and we just lose. So I don't really think this is it either. No, we're not playing anything. This is all brewing. This is how you brew. You got to throw stuff into a pile, see what it looks like, and then as soon as it looks bad, you just press this button, and then you're good. Yeah, you can discard Baron and then like hook into Gorger. You can play Gorger from hand. I mean, it does cost 8, which is kind of a lot in our deck that doesn't really have power costs, but yeah. None of this looks good enough for me right now to really think that this is going to be anything. I think a lot of what support this deck has access to is crazy because like any time that you have access to Zinzao can tank. Yeah, that's true. Zinzao wouldn't be the worst in that previous list if we want to be on the token spam stuff. And the issues are we're just like on mono 3 drops. We probably need the yellow Kinnan, whatever that ends up being, over the purple one. But yeah, when we have access to Stack Deck and Briar's Bloom, and then also I'm gonna keep using Sacrifice as our Sig spell, like 9 cantrips for one of which has Flow to get back. Like we can see our entire deck every single game. We just need to find some way to facilitate that into a win condition, of which I haven't really been impressed with any of the ideas that we've had so far. We did a little bit of a Kali brewing earlier. You can always go back in the stream and watch it. She still doesn't even have her Sig spell released yet, though, so it's really hard to know what a Kali is going to look like until we get to that point. Fizz activates Kinnan, which I think we spam him. Yeah, but it's like kind of the same problem with like this style of strategy in this game that I mentioned with like the equipment thing when we were talking about a Kali, right? Is if we're taking a bunch of turns to set up to fill our graveyard and play like these fizzes and stuff like that, we have to basically completely wipe our opponent's board in order to really facilitate all of this, right? I mean, I'm almost a believer in like the pack trove being the actual way that we would build this, if we're on like packs and troves and then we just play like a control deck. As somebody mentioned, we can be on fizzes and we have access to Starcross, Kennen, it's the CC. We have Cole of the Weeks. Although I guess Cole's kind of suck because I guess we can always just bounce our stuff with our packs. This sort of toxicity, the bewitching spirits, and all this sort of stuff can still theoretically work in this. Like this package is something that's a little bit universal if we really want to. Yeah, Under Titan just doesn't hold, and the token spam strat is going to have some issues breaking early. I mean, I guess our legend ability helps us break a little bit, but I don't know how often we're playing cards in that strategy outside of what's there, unless we just like hit a Nocturne off of our stack deck early, right? Oh, Drag Under. Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you want this as like a potential removal spell, you can give it flashback with I did it. I told myself I wasn't gonna do it. You can give it flow with Kennen, then it costs 3 and the power out of the grave, which isn't the worst. So just purple, yellow, Rek'Sai. That was like the previous version that we looked at. That's just like not quite there. Forge of the Future with pack on it. Oh, just to like make 1/1s. Yeah, I don't know. There's going to be more powerful things we can do with it. We don't really need to do any of the list shenanigans, but Yellow Rek'Sai seem cool too. The issue is that Yellow Rek'Sai is not a playable card, unfortunately. Uh, Unfortunately, Rek'Sai requires you to attack for some reason, so this doesn't work into open boards. Um, so if your opponent just doesn't have anything defending into your yellow Rek'Sai, assuming that they don't just like singularity or cull it or kill it in a million different ways, if they just don't have anything in a battlefield that you can run over with the Rek'Sai, then you can't use this trigger, and then you're just paying 5 and a might for, or 5 and a power for a 5 might that does nothing. So Hidden Blade's always fine. I mean, I hate giving my opponent 2 cards to draw, but yeah. Shadow Call pack. I mean, again, drawing cards isn't like, I think that's the big issue that we're running into with this deck is like drawing, no matter what version of these that we have right now, drawing cards is not the issue. We can draw our entire deck. Issue is that we draw our entire deck and then it's like, then what? I think the best win condition we have right now is like the triple Rasa after we draw our entire deck and hope that like the 18 might is enough to hold. But is it going to be able to hold both battlefields? Probably not, right? Let alone that like all of these versions that we played have just been so slow that like we just lose to Aurora guaranteed. We're never beating Aurora. I think E might be a struggle. Just like comparing it into what the current meta is, right? If somebody's just playing Azir and they're just doing their thing, like while we sit here in Dirtle, we're never beating Azir. Could maybe beat like Aurelia with all of her bounce spells and calls and stuff like that, but triple Rasa and Shovel always. Yeah, I mean maybe that's where you have to be at with this. Is packing Ash a real combo? Not really, just because as soon as they hold, then they get their cards back. You're better off just using the Spirit because it also costs less and does the same thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think realistically, it probably is something where it's like the best thing that we can do is just fill our grave as quickly as possible and then just be all in on the Rasa plan. So I think whatever list we end up going towards is gonna probably look similar to that. I think if we try to do all this pack stuff, we're just gonna be a worse Ezreal deck. If we try to do all the baited hook stuff, we're just gonna be a worse LeBlanc list. And for a legend, that's probably gonna be as popular as Kennen. There's no reason to just be a worse version of a different deck, right? So I think we were closest with the seals, the nocturnes, and just being like having the miracle shell. And maybe there is a world where just like the 3 nocturnes, the 3 Rossas is enough with us having access to the Scryer's Bloom, the traveling merchants. I probably want like one of the spell. Yeah, there's no probably like buy maybe 1 Shadows of the Past just in case we need to like get double Rasa back. I can play a couple Ezreals. Why not? This helps fill anything that fills our grave quickly. Probably want to boot. Any other utility spells that we want access to? I mean, maybe we need access to like a gust or 2, just to not die early. Early pressure with Cannon Assault. I mean, we're just not triggering the Cannon Assault that quickly, and then like it's just too low impact to try and facilitate. Tide Turner. Yeah, maybe if we need more 2s. I don't know if we're looking for more 2s. Yeah. I mean, Tide Turner's never a bad card. I'm never like upset that this is our a teardrop. Yeah, we got 9 minutes on the reveals chat, so y'all can be patient. So again, this style is like close. We're almost doing something here. We just gotta get the extra rest of the way there. then I think that this potentially can work, you know. Couple extra cards that come out, and you know this list could be solid. Would be a video reveal? I have no idea. I don't think Forge does anything. The main pattern for the legend is just going second, turn 1, 2-drop. I mean, I don't like to operate in ideals, especially because, like, you have to be doing something. And for me in Riftbound, to be like a top deck or something that's worth discussing, you have to be doing something that no other deck is doing. And just playing a 2-drop and conquering and then having like a scary 4-might in the back, there are a million decks that do that, right? Obviously, this deck has some theoretical late game that works, but from a consistency perspective, we have so many draw spells that we're not going to be able to contest the board early. Our early game is going to be facilitated on playing all of like our a little bit undercosted units or understated units, I should say, in order to facilitate eventually getting to like our Nocturnes and Rosses and stuff like that. So, um, should be a video and then also an article. Okay. Well, hopefully, I'm gonna have to actually figure out. Okay, hopefully this will work whenever that ends up happening. So, again, there's like we just need a bit more in order to make this style of deck work. I think there's something here. Just it's not here yet, and until we get like full spoilers, there's just not really anything that we're gonna be able to do to make this work yet. Yeah, I mean, you can play a bunch of one-ups and stuff like that. This is a very unpolished list. It's just like the idea, the general concept, and going from there. Anytime that you're deck building in a game like Riftbound, you want to come up with a core strategy and build your deck around that core strategy. And then when it comes to like the utility cards, like you having a one of salvage in this isn't ever going to turn this from a tier 3 deck to a tier 0 deck or something like that, or one of random spell. You need your deck identity and what your core strategy is to cohesively work. So if the infinite Rasa plus Nocturnes plus Last Rites is enough to work, then at that point you can start being like, oh, okay, do I want Star-Crossed or do I want what's the new Winds and Ghosts? Is that what this card says? Winds and Ghosts? Yeah, sure. Do I want Star-Crossed versus Winds and Ghosts versus Rebuke? Fine tuning with like Gust. If a lot of these cards just end up being like very matchup dependent. Like if people aren't playing gear at all, there's never a reason to play salvage. If people aren't playing LeBlanc or aggressive strategies at all, there's no reason to play Gust, etc., etc. So always start with like your units and what your curve is going to look like first, and make sure that that works, that strategy works, and does something. And then your spells are always going to be very meta dependent. If everyone's playing Darius tokens, you're not going to put Starcross in your deck, right? Like, it's just the name of the game when it comes to a lot of this stuff. The spells should always be the last thing that you're looking to facilitate in your deck building. Yeah, Dragon Xeno, thanks for the Prime sub. As a LeBlanc enjoyer, I don't like that new purple spell. Yeah. Bounce spells in this game are a little bit too good, to be honest, so I don't know why they keep printing them. I was already at the point where I like wanted to see Starcross gone, and then they just print another Starcross to to facilitate it. So, either pack an Ocean Drake or a Harness Dragon. Asking for a friend. Probably a Harness Dragon if I had to guess. Overall, you need to eventually kill everything if you're on pack troving, but like you can't just spend your entire turn and 2 power and then like not do anything with it. If your opponent just magically only has one unit in their hand and you just bounce it over and over and then you keep playing it to an open battlefield, then like yeah, in theory, Ocean Dragon would do the thing and win the game, but this is beyond Magical Christmas Land in my mind. Yeah. I kind of agree. I think reaction speed bounce or reaction speed removal is something that shouldn't exist in this game. I think it just kind of fundamentally breaks things and how they've been. designed so far. So I think just reaction speed bounce just like ruins everything, and the cost is too low. Where the cost is sometimes a benefit when you're just like bouncing a fizz and you're like, oh no, I had to bounce my fizz so that I can play a second Starcross now. It's just like nonsense, 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 nonsense. Um, yeah. Can't wait to play XP Kennen with Kha'Zix and Heirloom and Safety Inspector. Sure. I'm sure there will be lots of things to brew, at least from a competitive perspective. None of these legends have quite done anything yet that's just like, oh, this is so broken, this is the only thing that's going to exist, right? So I think a lot of our older legends and decks are still doing just fine. Not to mention its base can't even hide your begins, yeah. But I mean, it's still, you're spending 8 and 2 power. This is your entire turn to actually cast this card. Like, that's a big commitment for us to be playing cards like this. So dev drop in 3 minutes. Yeah, I know. I get to be a live reaction tuber. I finally made it, chat. I'm here for the reaction content. The Shin legend is looking like a menace. Now y'all are memeing. I think it'll just be on they'll probably post it on their Play Riftbound site, so I'd assume it'll just be here because that was where they announced it. All right, let's see. For the start of the Vendetta previews, we would drop the dev drop video in the overview article at 6 p.m. Pacific, so we can align with China to celebrate. So we got at least the article will be here, and I'm sure the dev drop video will be here too. So yeah, worst case it'll be Twitter, YouTube, etc., etc. Yeah, Poggy's new card. I love new card. They haven't even put all the new cards on here. I wanted to make fun of the Jace and the Ribbon again, so I can do a Pog reaction for that. But I can make fun of this Jace. Wow, look, chat, new unplayable card. You think the format will soft rotate with the retirement of Origins and Proving Grounds best of prizes? I think at the highest level, yeah. Unless there's some other incentive to play them. I mean, I guess Yi will still be a very good deck based on what I'm seeing right now. I don't think Yi is going to stop being the best deck from the current spoilers that exist. So, yeah, until we get something a little bit beyond Yi, if people are just looking to play the best deck, then yeah. Yes. Wow. I gotta do the YouTube face. I actually don't even know how to do the Poggy's face. So. That's should be on Play Riftbound and or their YouTube channel. I'm just gonna hope. It says it's 9. Is it scheduled? No. Did they lie to us? Are they just taking a second? 2 hands on face with a gasp. One of these. There we go. There's their thumbnail. Yeah, I've never been the most expressive when it comes to this stuff, so you guys get to see my YouTube history. I think it'll be signed into my Google. It's just gonna be on challengers. No. Okay, well. Riftbound. They're up on YouTube. Is it this? Oh, here we go. The Vendetta begins. Okay. Let me make sure the stream has audio. Why don't I have audio? How did I mute Firefox at some point? Give me 1 second, everybody. I did mute Firefox. Oh, okay, sorry. That might have been a little bit loud. All right, everybody. Everybody strap in. Is everyone ready for the React content? Alright, let's do it.
Hi everyone, I'm Karen.
And I'm Dave.
And we're here for a rematch.
Ooh, scary. Not.
For years, many have wondered,
So,
where did the epic rivalry between Dave Guskin and Chengrin Chai begin? For that, we take you to
React
Rito
content.
High.
Oh wow. See, this is how you know it's fake. Dave never had hair. That guy was always bald.
Chengrin is Kennen. Dave is a colleague.
Need some help, Chengrin? I'm
Make
at
the
7
cam
points.
smaller,
You're at
sure.
6 points. Looks like I've already won.
No, Cannon is all I need. I play Cannon, Storm, or Shuriken.
Okay.
I
Wow.
put 2 cards from my deck into trash.
Oh, I
and
see.
end my turn.
This is
You're
where we got
playing
the
Burn? More like, you burnt.
the Sig spell from.
Just play a turn.
Happy to. See Nasus
That's our
ascended?
recommended video. Let's see what it is. Oh, I see.
While he's empowered, when I conquer, I'll get an extra point.
Oh, it is
So
an
even though I
extra
don't control
point.
both battlefields,
Still win the game.
One extra point.
booyah.
As if I'll send him back to your hand with Wind and Ghost.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll play a Kali deadly weapon. You better win fast. She's coming for you.
I send in Cannon, Storm of Shuriken. That gets me a point.
Yeah, okay, but it's your only unit.
Or is it? Cannon gives me flow to any spell in my trash. And I have this one. Shadows of the Past. Welcome back, Ocean Drake.
They really went all out with this
Any
one.
open battlefield. That gets me my final point. No!
Do y'all think this is how they actually play Riftbound to test and design these cards? I wouldn't be too
Hi, I'm
shocked.
Tengen.
And I'm Dave.
Vendetta is our set about rivalry, clashes between former friends, immortal enemies, and members of the same family.
Yeah, some rivalries go way back, and some
The
people
blog on
peaked
Play
in high
Riftbound
school.
has some new
And
cards.
some people
yeah.
are still chasing
I'm sure
that
the
rematch.
dev
We don't
blog
talk
will have
about
some
that
cool
game.
stuff.
Anyway, Vendetta will be released in China on July 31st.
And the English release will be on July 31st.
Hey, that's the same day!
Hell yeah, it is. With Vendetta, we now have parity, with English and Chinese versions releasing together.
We're
True.
really excited to have even more players around the world cracking packs and making decks all at the same time.
For the first time, Riftbound introduces legends with enemy domains: Fury and Calm, Mind and Body, Order and Chaos.
These domains don't usually go together, but Vendetta is all about opposites clashing and elevating each other.
We also have rival legends, specifically designed to play against each other. Take Shen and Zed, fierce rivals in the lore, now built with opposite playstyles in Riftbound.
Shen loves to hold battlefields, while Zed loves to conquer them. They're designed to push each other and the players to the limit.
Kind of like...
Except I won.
Again, we don't talk.
But we could have a rematch.
Okay, but only if I get to keep this hair.
Okay. Certainly a content piece. So I guess a lot of the stuff that we saw that was kind of leaked about the Kinnan and stuff was all just from this video, which makes sense. All right. Let's see the actual article for some real
Why does the believer
real
voice
content.
sound like the get to work now?
There we go. Back to muting my Firefox. Okay. Bunch of good ones. Okay. Oops. This is just popping up the Vendetta overview. I guess that just links to the YouTube. All right. Hopefully this will answer a lot of people's questions. Looks like we have a hefty article here, so let's get through it. Depends. Yeah. Okay. Flow lets you play cards from your trash instead of your hand. It was inspired by League Champs to use energy and captures the fast recovery. Sure. Can be chosen. Oh wow. Wait. Actually, this is terrible. It's like sometimes I read spells and then I forget that it needs to say action or reaction for it to be good. I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. But well, now we know that Akali's Sig spell will not be Twilight Shroud. This is her W, which was like one of the things I was thinking could maybe help with holding, but yeah, it does not do that. So, yeah, I used to listen to Nightcore a ton as a kid. YouTube was always trying to get me back into it. No, I do not. Yeah, we'll read it for everybody. Burn is self mill. Okay. It's just like a daring poro pretty much. A 2 for 3 with assault. Which is or a 2 for 3 might essentially, where I guess burning it maybe will end up having some sort of relevancy for some of the cards. Empower. Eventually gain new abilities once they're in play, often after paying costs. This allows you to card on the board one turn, then amplify its might or effect on another turn. Okay. Well, this I guess is the Jinx support that we needed was the punching Poro. Jinx believers rejoice. You finally have been saved by Mr. Guskin. He's given us what we've all asked for, the punching Poro to save Jinx. Jinx S tier confirmed. Buy all your Jinxes now. God, I hate Battlefield spoilers. I gotta turn them sideways. Empower cost your units here cost 1 or a power less. Okay, well that is unplayable. Even in the Empower decks, I'm sure. There's your second merchant basically for the Kennen deck. Wait, what is this guy? This is nowhere near merchant. Just flipping a random one off the top is not really gonna be doing what we need to, unless there's like some synergy that cares about us milling one exactly. I mean, it's like okay, I guess. It's probably better than some of the other 2-drops that we would potentially play in that spot. Especially because you get like Tide Turner back or write it around and mill to facilitate our Rasa. So maybe it's not terrible. It's probably better than most of the other 2-drops, so you're probably right. This card's probably fine. Yeah, if I'm ever ride the winning my 2-drop, then we have issues. New type unit gear. New unit gear. Cards this logo count as against both units and gear. Okay. I enter exhausted. When you play me, if you control 3 or more other gear, draw 1. Okay, I guess so. That's not bad. I mean, basically a Scuttle Crab in the right deck. Granted, it doesn't do it early, but this is what I'm guessing Jace will end up being built around and works well with like, I guess if we ever do the rat plus coal technology again, then that can work out pretty well. This this isn't even Mal 6 spell, it's just a random rare. Decrees. Well, not a new type of spell. Decrees are cycle spells that are designed with domain rivalries in mind. Each domain is a decree that strikes hard against colors of its opposite domain color. Ignore deflect while playing this card's spell cost. Give a body unit -5. So we're on color hosers now in Riftbound. I don't know if I like that. That's okay. This is just pack distribution. That does not matter. We have the Crystal Rose alt arts. Wild Rift's returning skin line. Okay. As often as other alt art cards in the packs. They have a special numbering because we're celebrating art from Wild Rift for these and reserve the overnumbered designation for art. Okay, so that's one thing we can look up. So I'm kind of curious. Artifact creature, yeah. I don't know why they designed this way. But yes, they're just like, we want artifact creatures. You got artifact creatures, Dave. Oh, it says other gear. 3 more other gear. So you need 4 gear. I mean, it's not bad. Like, if you're playing a gear-based deck with a bunch of things, then this will be like your 2 for 2. It's fine. It still is a gear itself, so it will work with other gear synergies and such. But, yeah, I think the decrees are like... We're already at a point in Riftbound where it's very difficult to find sideboard slots, so I don't know that these types of cards will really see a ton of play. I mean, obviously a 1 for -5 is quite good. Like, this is more efficient than anything, but the issue is that when you're a specific color hoser, you only are going to be targeting like half of your opponent's deck, right? Because like if they're yellow or you're playing against Ambessa, which I'm guessing this is what it's supposed to be, Mel versus Ambessa, right? Then Ambessa is going to only have half of her units be body. So, you know, if there's like a specific card like her chosen champ that you want to specifically target with this card, and then like that's becomes a specific problem point for you, then obviously this card ends up being worth playing. But otherwise, they can just play around this knowing that your color hoser only hits half their units, right? Fights punch first. Only if they punch first a body unit. If they punch first an order unit, then your card does nothing. So what sideboard size would I advocate for? Yeah, 12 to 15. I mean, 15 seems like a lot, but that's what it is in Yu-Gi-Oh! And they have the same deck size. Just as the game grows, and we currently have 40 legends, it's going to be 49 after this set comes out. Granted, 16 of them are rotating out from the highest level of competitive, but at a local level, there's still going to be 49 legends. If there aren't playdates to play for, then there's no reason not to play any of the 49 legends that currently exist, right? Yes, I agree. I hate cards like this as well. They're just so narrow, so niche, and I think they're especially niche in Riftbound because, again, like I said, is like in comparing this to Magic, because this is where the majority of these devs came from. There are some decks that are just mono body or mono blue or mono black or whatever it may be, and they can have hosers for that deck in order to punish people that do play the mono style decks. But in this game, it just doesn't work like that. So you're only going to be hitting a third of decks with a card like this, and then even in those third of decks that you hit, you're only going to be potentially hitting like half of the units that actually exist. Like, sure, I think this will probably be one of the better spells into like Rengar out of Yi, for example. If you're tired of getting Rengar, then like maybe this is our solution. But outside of that, I mean, I guess it hits their Chosen Champ too. So against Yi, like this card will probably be pretty good, but it still gets defied. So if this is the only card in your deck that gets defied, then they'll just save it for that. So, yeah, 15 is almost half your deck. That'd be a bit crazy. Yes, but you also have to adapt to the fact that like in this game, look at the spread that all these tournaments are, right? Let's use a comparison point. Oh, I guess I can make myself bigger now that I'm not on the screen. But when you're playing against and like Magic, for example, or some of these other games that don't have best of pricing, the most popular decks are 20, 30, 40% of the field. In Riftbound now, for the most recent RQs, we haven't had a single deck that's over or double digit deck participation percentage. Maybe there's been that's one at like 10 to 11%, but it makes it such that we have to adapt so much more to all these different styles of decks because you're playing against so many more decks. If you're playing Magic or whatever, you're only going to play against 3 or 4 different decks. If you're playing One Piece, you're only going to play against 3 or 4 different decks. Not that the game has a sideboard. Even in Yu-Gi-Oh, the majority of the meta is going to be a small amount of decks. Riftbound has the benefit of you playing into so many different decks, but also we're in a position where we aren't able to prepare for that many decks because we only have 8 sideboard slots right now. So I think that with the way Riftbound is designed on a competitive perspective, even though it sounds like a lot, I think that the game really could afford to have more sideboard slots if it really came down to something that they wanted to do. Isn't that what helps the diversity? I mean, the best of pricing is what helps the diversity. I think without best of pricing, it would just be like any other game, and we would have 40% people playing Yi with how broken that deck is right now. So yeah. I have the 99 legends in the set represented with the overnumber variants, which can be found with an artist signature as well. Okay, so same overnumber plus sigs that we've previously had, so that's cool. We have 22 champion overnumbers representing the legendary rivals. Yeah, we saw these like the Jinx versus Vi and stuff like that. I think these are pretty cool. Overall, I like what they did with the collectors stuff. And then yeah, Showdown, Vault, our pre-roof kits. Cool. I guess that's it for spoilers. Yeah, my only issue is like whenever you're making changes like this, you want to make them sweeping rather than like let's say we just bump it up to 10 and then it turns out 10 wasn't enough, so then we bump it up to 12 and then eventually we just like keep having to bump it up every single time. I feel like that can be a little bit taxing. So I would probably just say like start at 12. I think 12 is a good number, but yes, these cards do in fact suck. Thank you, blah blah blah. Strength of body colors having strong units, so the red part of the body red decks will probably not be bodies. Yeah, I mean, I do agree that, like, thinking about the Yi deck, a lot of their units are body between, like, Rengar and their chosen champion. But, you know, you still can't do it to Camel. But, yeah, I mean, if you specifically want to hose, like, Rengar, then now we have a spell to do that. So it's you know, it's not bad to have a card like this. I think 12 is fine. I think right now our sideboards are just kind of in a weird spot, but you know, that's just my personal opinion. So I don't think it's like a drastic change that really needs to happen. I think one of the things that I personally recommended when it comes to competing in RQs and pretty much any deck building that you should be doing in Riftbound, your main deck should have like good answers for pretty much everything, and then the few decks that you have bad matchups into, you can have specific sideboard hosers for. So yeah, the next thing I want to look up, just because I'm curious, we can do some speculation as to what the Crystal Rose skins are. So there's gonna be a Crystal Rose Akali. That'll be pretty sick. I guess there is an Akshan that they could do. Ashe is possible. Ezreal is possible. We don't have a Gwen card yet. We do have Janna. No Jarvan. Could be a Jace. Crystal Rose Kaisa that would go hard. Crystal Rose Lux would go hard. Damn, they have a ton of skins for this line. Sona, Seraphine, Riven, Swain. Okay, well, I thought that we would be able to speculate a little bit more on what they actually end up deciding on what to do for the Crystal Rose cards, but that's yeah, that's crazy. Set, well, is there a Crystal Rose set? I did see somebody leaked that like one of the playmats is supposed to be set from the RQs. So in theory that there's a Crystal Rose set brawler, but I don't see the skin for it. Oh, there's a Yumi. That's cute. Interesting. So I don't think we'll be able to speculate exactly which cards they decide to go with, because there are a lot of good ones. Crystal Rose Kaisa on like the Kaisa 4-drop from set 1 would be pretty sick. I think this would make a good skin. She has so many skins though. Interesting. So alright, well, we didn't get anything crazy spoiled so far. But, you know, see if this actually got updated yet with any of our new cards. Just the ones officially spoiled. They didn't put the Kennen 6 spell up here yet. 5 waifus in Israel, so 6 waifus. Yeah, that'll be perfect. It's going to be your meta deck pick you're leaning towards as of now for next set, since you're dropping in farming set. I don't really know. Of the ones that currently exist, Akali interests me. So I think that'll be a very valuable best of, and I'd love to collect them all. Kennen seems like it has the potential to be powerful, but I'm still at a point right now where like I'm debating between the idea of just metal farming and actually competing for a win, you know. Just because the metal cards are so much more valuable than anything else. So if I find something that calls to me like Set did, then I will certainly play that. But you know, follow my Twitter. I will definitely be announcing whatever I play there. So we can speculate that's going to be one of each color. True. That is true. So we already had the blue one spoiled, right, with Ari. So we could rule out any of the blue legends or chosen champs. Set brawler is going to be one of them. Then that's or it could just be like a regular altar or something they have in the set. I don't really know. Do I like Set in League? I've never played Set in League. I don't even know if I own it on my account. So that hopefully answers your question on that one. Yeah, Blue Kaisa gets the Altair. That would be very weird if they did Blue Kaisa when they already have a blue one selected, but you know, happens. Yeah, true. That is a good point, Chairman RB. where Magic has a 15 card sideboard for 60 card main deck, but you don't sideboard your lands. So if anything, they sideboard more cards than we do because they play like 24 lands and 36 actual spells as opposed to our 39 actual cards. What's the Twitter? I'm just at calling KA or at Challenger TCG is our business one as well. So, but cool. All right, I guess I can answer a few questions for anybody who's got some last second questions, and then probably call it a stream. That's kind of my wrap up. I wish that the spoilers here were a little bit more interesting, but it kind of makes sense. They didn't want to leak anything too crazy yet. So yeah. So it's gonna be 1 mana, give 5 buff spread among units you control this set. Yeah, I mean, if he ends up getting something crazy, I think it just like a stupefy for set would be really all that he needs. Like a 1 mana, give a unit a buff, draw a card. It's been my TCG background prior to Riftbound. Flesh and Blood, Battle Spirits, Argent Saga, Dragon Ball Super. Played Magic as a kid. I owned a shop for like 6 years as well, so I kind of played every card game. Not necessarily competitively, but to some degree. So I think that's kind of what's given me my edge when it comes to new card games, is I've had to, owning a shop, like I wanted to play everything at some point. So I adapted to that play style at some point. Actually, I'll swap to this so I don't just have like this white background here blinding everybody. Yeah, unfortunately I moved away from San Antonio a couple weeks ago, so but you know, there's always a chance I come back and visit. You never know. Yeah, I think if the sideboard expands, then it just allows people to play more specific hate. And if their like intention is to have cards as narrow as this in the game, I don't see a world in which I'm ever able to sideboard my Decree of Insights if I only have 8 sideboard slots. So, we're able to read anything on the Ken 6 spell? Yeah, it's just stack deck, but they go to grave, I think. That's really all it is. And then it has flashback or flow. I have to retrain my brain on that one. Can react to Twilight Shroud with Starcrossed? You sure can. And it doesn't have action or reaction. I mean, this card would be broken if it had reaction. But I think this card's not bad for what it's worth. Just being able to like guarantee that your thing can't be targeted by action speed spells is maybe going to be relevant. I don't know if it's going to be relevant enough, but yeah, so true. If there is an event for San Antonio, though, I'll definitely be there. Sustainability from being full-time TCGer. Yeah, it's a combination of the content. People support us through the Metafy, and that definitely pays the bills. So, yeah, things have been good. And then obviously price support also helps too. I think Red Decree will get played the most against green. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I so desperately need an answer to Aurelia. True. Hopefully it does that for them. And I mean, this one already has the ignore deflect while paying the spell's cost. So if only this was like anti-green, then you know it almost give some sort of viability into Aurelia, but still would be a nightmare. But potentially, like if you can punish them for tapping out for their Aurelia and then like Falling Star to kill it through Guardian Angel and stuff, it could potentially help. Yeah, Starcross being the exception for action removal, I think is definitely an annoyance. So, yeah. Assuming they'll all be the same, no idea. They didn't really make that clear. I would hope they make it a little bit more interesting than that, especially because they put these cards at rare. Like if we just have 6 cards that are the exact same at rare, I think that would be a little meh. Let's see. Decrees or cyclist spells are designed with the main rivalries in mind. Yeah, it doesn't say anything like they're all the same. I think that'd be boring. How do you think Hui will interact with the new gear units? That is a good question. I think it'll do the thing that it shouldn't do, but Hui is a broken card, so I feel like it's just gonna, yeah, do the thing. Let's see how Hui is rewarded. Then do the following based on the discard card's type. I don't actually know. You might end up doing both. You probably do both based on how this is currently worded. So that is not okay. And hopefully that is enough to get Hui banned, because I cannot stand this card. So fingers crossed. What do you think the ban list will be like? I don't necessarily know that there will be a ban list. I mean, I hope that they ban Stealthy Pursuer. That's really the main card that I would love to see gone. I would love to see Hui and Stella Cornherder gone, because I can't stand those cards personally. I'd love to see Aurora gone. There are tons of things I would love to see hit, but whether or not they will or not, we'll have to see. Right now, they've had a very healthy set 3 meta, so unless they think that there's something that's going to be particularly problematic going into set 4, I don't expect them to change much, so. The new flow stuff, would this mean that you can banish some spells that aren't 4 energy and still trigger his ability? What are you talking about, Jin? I don't think so. Play a spell if you spent, or yeah, no, Jin's like a replacement effect. You have to cast something costs 4 more. People are just speculating. There's no reason to believe that there will be another ban list. I mean, I can tell you guys that they did not intend on having a ban list at any point in time when it came to Riftbound. It just, things got out of hand so much that they had to. So far they've only been reactionary. They have not been proactive. So because of that, I have no reason to believe they'll be proactive with the release of set 4. What do I think about Zed? We haven't seen any Zed cards yet, so until we see Zed cards, I can't really give comments on it. I think there was one that like theoretically got leaked, but we don't need to talk about leaks. They'll get officially spoiled soon enough. Yeah, it doesn't work with Jin's ability. Yes, I do agree that the sneaky guys should probably go as a preventative measure. Whether or not they'll do it or not, we'll have to see. So, yeah. Still in Hui are somehow fair if not played with purple. Yes, but that's the issue, is that you play them with purple and they're not fair. I mean, you can ban Ride the Wind too. I was originally a proponent in set 2 of not banning Ride the Wind because I didn't think it was that big of a problem in set 2. And I still don't think it was a problem in set 2. But now that we're in set 3, I think it very much so is too much of a problem. But like, the issue is that there will always be some sort of broken movement shenanigans that they're going to print at some point. So like, whether it's Ride the Wind or something else, there's always going to be some nonsense with those cards. Do I think the Lux Infinite will survive a ban update if there is one? Hard to say. I don't really know what their ban policy is. So far, their ban policy has been, I mean, that can be the last thing I can look at, and I can call it, because if they still have, not events, news. Let's see where their ban list is. It's because this seems to be the happened after Vegas. First ban. All right, let's see. We don't need to spec that. We can go. What is their philosophy? Here we go. So when do we ban cards? These are the first bans we're making for Riftbound, so I want to broadly explain why and when. Is the card overrepresented in a healthy way? Are problems the card likely get worse over time? Does this card promote play patterns that negatively affected? So everything I'm reading here based on this dev blog is that their philosophy is entirely reactive. So it doesn't seem like they're going to be proactively banning things, whether they should be or not. Yeah. So unless they like immediately see something as a problem within the first week or 2 of release, because I think they've also stated that they aren't going to ban stuff like a week or 2 before an event, right? I believe they've said that at some point. So, and also they just wouldn't want to do that. I think they did that during the China event when they did like a rules update that changed things 3 days before the event or whatever. But yeah, everything I'm seeing is that there's no reason to believe that they're going to ban anything. Everything seems like their philosophy is entirely reactionary, not proactive. So Do you think leaks and getting card info early is healthy for the game? No, leaks are never good for anybody. So hopefully the people who were, you know, good enough to get a spoiler can keep their mouth shut and release it when they need to. All the cards will be spoiled in 2 weeks anyways, so don't, there's no reason to leak anything or interact with the leaks. Well, we will still be playing Riftbound in 2 weeks, so. Ride the Wind should have been a spell, never in action. Yeah, that's probably true. What if they fix the rules so you can't score on your opponent's turn? I mean, I think that would help nerf the Ride the Wind shenanigans, but it doesn't really fix the root of the problem. I think having a one card that you can just like score, draw 3 cards for 2 energy and a power is just like ridiculous because you just do it with Hui. Now your Hui's drawing 6 off of 2 energy and a power. Like it's just ridiculous. And then it's such a low opportunity cost as soon as you commit the ride, because your guy you just score both points for free and then just go back to base, and then you can just do whatever else you want with your turn. Let alone just like double triggering Hui and all that. It's just nonsense. Challenger TCG and Art Division win. We'll see when the game releases. We did kind of name ourselves Challenger TCG with the intention of being able to theoretically expand into other things, but so long as Riftbound is doing as well as it is, this will always be our main focus. So, yeah. Remember when New Phyrexia fully leaked way ahead of schedule in MTG and basically ruined the entire spoiler season? Yeah, exactly. There's like hype that's being generated right now based on the fact that, things haven't been leaked. It's new, it's exciting. We get to it's like the Netflix binge where you get the feel good for 3 minutes while you look through all the spoilers, and then you feel like I don't know, like you just gorged yourself afterwards. Or you can have the slow drip of the weekly releases, but it's like daily releases now. So you always have something to look forward to with these releases. So I prefer having a proper spoiler season and not just having the entire thing leaked. Yeah, StarCross has been an issue, but as more and more great spells come out, Fizz is going to be more and more of the problem. Yeah, I mean, they've unfortunately designed themselves into a hole with a lot of these cards, like Ride the Wind, like Fizz, like Starcross. Like, these cards are always going to only get better as time goes on, which, fortunately, based on what we just discussed here and their philosophy on banning cards, if the card's overrepresented, cards are likely to get worse over time. And if it promotes play patterns that negatively affect the game in other ways, which, all of these cards we've mentioned are the case with all of these, they're willing to hit it. So we'll just have to see what they say and what they decide to do. So, but right now, this is our only history that we have with bans, so it's impossible to speculate. They don't have anything like scheduled BNR like Magic does. So yeah, we'll just see. But cool. I appreciate everyone coming out and watching our stream. We'll be doing another stream on Wednesday, more in a podcast style, answering questions and all that sort of stuff. If people have questions that they want answered, make sure to submit them through our Discord. And yeah, we will be following along with spoilers as well, going over these as they come out. We got a couple of exciting weeks ahead of us in the world of Riftbound. So, I will call it here for now. I'm going to get some much needed sleep after this last weekend. So I appreciate you all for coming out, and I will see everyone next time. Peace.